The same boiling water that makes an egg hard makes a potato soft. The moral of the story is, you need to dictate your environment and not let your environment dictate you. Welcome guys, welcome back to my channel, welcome back to another video, another episode of the Wildfire Podcast. This is episode 2. Thank you guys for tuning in. It took me a little bit of time to put this episode together, but I hope you guys will enjoy it. I want to say shout out to everybody who's been watching the video so far. Please go ahead, if you haven't yet subscribed, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. It helps us to grow. Like the video, it does help out with the algorithm as well on YouTube. And go ahead and share with everybody you know who are in the process right now of trying to find that middle ground between living their best life and finding some financial wealth. Because we're going to be talking a lot about financial freedom and stuff of that nature, right? This episode, you're going to want to listen to the very end. This is going to be an information-packed episode, very intriguing conversation. I feel like a lot of us, kind of get tired to hear the everyday conversation about should man and woman split the bills, who is responsible to pay all the bills, all these type of no cliche conversations that don't really benefit our lives here or there. And so we want to hear some other conversations. So on this episode, it's just me. I'm going to reason with enough. I think I'm intelligent enough to can reason with enough on an intellectual level, you know what I mean? Well, let's go. Today we're going to start talk about, taking that jump, taking that leap, start where you are. Today could be day one for you, right? I got a couple questions for you right now. So you think because you don't come from a rich family, you can't be rich one day, right? You think because your parents can't gift you a Range Rover for your 16th birthday or your 21st birthday, they buy you a house, you think you can't be rich one day? You think you have to be poor? Did you know that the USA has the most millionaires in the world? Did you also know that 79% of all those millionaires are self-made? And what I mean by this is they built their wealth from nothing. I'm talking about people, your regular guys who started out working at a job, working at McDonald's, working retail, whatever you can think of. They start there and they built, as a matter of fact, started off doing valet. They started working at a golf course, things like that. And they built a multi-million dollar empire, right? Some are coming from humble beginnings like you and me. And I like to look at the Usain Bolt story and say, he's the perfect example. And yes, he's super talented. But him could have sit down upon him talent just like some of you guys who sit down upon with talent that we were gifted and we do nothing with it, right? Because hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard. Let me say that again. Hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard. In a nutshell, what that means, if you've got the most talent, you could be the most talented individual. Hard work will put you ahead of that person who has just talent if there's no hard work or discipline or work ethic behind that talent. This is a fact. And you can do your research on it. There's plenty of examples of talented people who didn't reach a higher echelon of success because they lacked that grind, they lacked that ethic that you need to really get the best out of your talent, right? But I use Usain Bolt as an example, but when I see certain people in certain positions, I am not drawn to how much money they have or the type of cars that them drive and the certain things that you might consider as vanity. I'm not drawn to the material things. I'm drawn to the stories behind their success. I like to know about how it came to be. How did you get started? How did you find the motivation to get started in the first place, right? And when you found the motivation, when you got rejection or rejected at some point in the process, how did you find the willpower to continue? And during that time period, were there any failures? How did you conquer that failure, right? If you look back at the Usain Bolt example, he was injury riddled, right? He had a lot of injuries, and he still found a way, because at one point people were like, Usain Bolt is done. Asafa take over and Asafa run. Boom, Usain Bolt come back on the scene after being out for God knows how long. And he ran 100 meters for the first time, right? And before you know it, he is now the world record, the fastest man alive, actually. But I'm just saying, how do you deal with failures? Because failure, as much as we look at success and we idolize success being on top of the hill, to get to the top of the hill, or to get to that success, you have to actually experience failure. Failure is the foundation to success. And so, again, most of the people that you see successful, if you have a conversation with them and not assume that they did something illegal to get there, and you have a conversation, how was your experience with failure, you will find out that they failed on numerous occasions. But that failure was taken as a lesson. It was not the end all, be all, end all. It's not I failed, I'm done. It's I failed. Okay, it's time to get up and go again. Let's use the knowledge I acquired from failing and try again, right? But when you listen to people who have these experiences and people who have failed on numerous occasions and still get up and go again, and then now you look at them and you're like, man, look at that business. That business is booming. They're making so much money. They're living their lives. How do you look at that and not think, if they can do it, why can't I? Again, let's say this. If they can do it, why can't I do it? And that's why we are having this conversation right now, because we're having a conversation about successful people. And if they can come from nothing, start a business or start a career and make the type of money they're making and live the type of life they're doing, why can't you? And that's my challenge to you, right? Time is the greatest resource. And you can always make the money back. You know, you spend it on vacation, you spend it on jewelry or some stupid thing, you buy it and you lose it. You can always make the money back. But you can never get back the time wasted. You can never get the time spent doing something you absolutely hate. You know what I mean? When I used to sell cars, I used to have this conversation. I say to people all the time, look, you come in here and you say you want this price and you want that price and blah, blah, blah. I can give you that price. It's just not going to be on the car that you want. And they're like, yeah, but that's pointless. My point here is to say this. If you spend $300 on a car you absolutely hate, it feels expensive, right? But if you spend $800 on a vehicle that you absolutely love, it feels like money well spent. The point I'm trying to make here is the time spent doing something you absolutely hate will always feel like time wasted, right? But at the same time, you will spend twice as much time doing something you love, and it feels absolutely like work, like you're not working. It feels like you're doing something you actually love, right? That's why they say, if you love what you do, you never work a day in your life. And I've proven that, because I went from saying that, oh my gosh, the hours at the dealership are too long. I'm going in at 7, 8 o'clock in the morning, like 8 o'clock in the morning. I'm not leaving till 7, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock at night, to working in the solar industry and going into work like 9, 8:30, 9 o'clock daytime for meetings, and not coming back in until 10, 11 o'clock. And this is pretty much every day, sometimes 6, 7 days a week, in the peak of the industry, because there's plenty of appointments and it's non-stop. And with the dealership, I was at one location, but in the solar industry, I'm going sometimes from Miami to West Palm Beach to over Western. Sometimes I'm driving to Orlando, to Port St. Lucie, just depending on the day, right? So the workload has gotten so much higher, and then when I come back in from work, I have proposals to put in. I have to prep for other appointments tomorrow, stuff of that nature. When you go into entrepreneurship, it doesn't mean that your time, the time you put into work and things work related, is less. Sometimes it doubles, to be honest with you. But you actually enjoy it, so it doesn't feel like work, right? And that's where time comes in, and allocation of time. But time wasted, as I mentioned, can never be regained. And there's a saying, but we're not getting into that. But, when I was growing up, being rich meant something different. If you look at a lot of the people in your community, I can speak for mine, the persons that were referred to as rich and what they used to judge your financial status was size of your house. So if you have a big house on the hill, you're a rich man. If you drive a nice car, or if you have both, you're a rich man, right? And that was, I talk about young, I talk about like less than 10, right? And then we transition into the age of the chopper them. And when I think about the chopper them, then you start talk about people a change car ever so often. You start to talk about man a wash car with Heineken. Man a go a party, go buy 3, 4, 5, 6 bottle of Hennessy for 2 or 3 and bridging them. You talk about man a drop crates, man a burn money. So rich kind of change for us or look different based on where you're from and the things that you're exposed to. For me, it never really changed because when I see them things, I've been to parties and I've been to spots where I see people that burn money. Piss me off every time because I'm like, yo, somebody out there right now could have used that for buy dinner. I hate it. Absolutely hate it. Not only that, I've been to spots where I see man buy liquor, throw it on the ground, see have a dopey. Man throw it on the ground, see have a dopey, then he light it in a big party, right? That's madness. Because I don't believe in wasting. I'd rather take that money and buy something stupid for myself than burn it or throw it away or something like that, right? But being rich kind of change. And if you are easily influenced by these things, you will think that that's what rich is supposed to look like. And your network is your net worth. So if the people around you are doing that type of stuff, chances are if you don't have your head screwed on properly, you will, when you get money, you will start doing the same thing because that's what being rich looks like, right? But what does being rich actually mean? What is it supposed to mean for us who are conscious of our finances? What is it supposed to mean for people who are conscious of where they're going? And this is my version of what rich is supposed to look like, right? As I mentioned, time is the most important resource. Your goal is to buy back your time. Instead of clocking in at 8 to 9 o'clock every day and working 8 hours, sometimes 10 hours every day for the man. And by the man, I mean building somebody else's business. You could be using that same time and sometimes a little bit more to build yours or to find a career, because entrepreneurship is not for everybody. You know, my desire to have my own business might not be your desire. So whatever your calling is, I am speaking to that. If you're currently working front desk at a hotel and you know your calling is you want to be a nurse, I suggest you start today. I suggest you start as soon as possible, because why wait? By the way, the drink of choice is bourbon and some ginger beer. Could I drink the bourbon on the rocks, but I like the ginger beer. Add a little bit of taste that I like to it. But again, the whole idea is to be able to buy your time and freedom to live life on your own terms. The ability to do something you love and something that energizes you. So one of the biggest motivation for me in the solar industry has been and still is when you wake up when you go and work, you got your job, and you wake up in the morning, you're like, oh my gosh, work, right? You see that feeling right there? I hate it. Absolutely hate it. Because that feeling will lead you to call out on some days, and I hate the concept of calling out personally. Because I don't feel like I should be in an environment that I am that miserable. Where I wake up in the morning, I'm like, oh my gosh, work. God damn it. Like, I don't feel like I should be in that environment. If I feel like that, I need to find somewhere else to be, right? Because that simply means that I dread going into work. But doing what I do, when I wake up in the mornings, I feel energized. Like, all right, cool. I have an appointment at 10, so I need to get up, go to Starbucks, get some coffee, and be on my merry way, right? I've already prepped for this. I can go in there, I can do what I do, explain to them, get them to sign the contracts, and we're good to go on to the next, right? It energizes me because I enjoy doing what I do. And that's the whole idea behind it. The ability to do something you love that energizes you, and the freedom to travel the world, because we all want to travel, especially for millennials like me. We want to travel, we want to spend time with people who we actually love and enjoy. Right there. You don't want to spend time with people that I work with where you don't even like. You know what I mean? I deal with a boss way. Just annoying. And again, entrepreneurship isn't for everybody. So if your goal is to work for somebody I'm not going to say it that way, but if your goal is to be a doctor or if you want to be a nurse or something that requires you to work for the government or work for a company, that's perfectly fine. Just make sure that you're enjoying it and the compensation is right and that you're investing your money the right way. There's nothing wrong with that. Absolutely none. Absolutely none. I'm not one of those people who have a class, working for people a certain type of way and say, oh, you must work for yourself, right? Because it's not for everybody. But yes, anyways, where a lot of us are from, what we're seeing though is people who work very, very hard, but at the same time, them struggle to make ends meet, and you're like, that don't make no sense. Truth be told, if hard work was the key to success, we would live among millionaires / borderline billionaires if that was the case. Because I see people get up early in the morning and mix cement, throw block, fling friggin' bucket of sand and cement and stuff like that up on the roof from ground level, which is not easy. But people do this on a daily basis, working hard, no sweat, right? We know parents who them left and them gone, places gone, and do all kind, domestic work. Shout out to all of the help of them, by the way, and anybody who do domestic work. Shout out to you guys. Then also you have, for example, where I'm from a fishing village. And I see people gone out to sea for how much days in, different, sometimes in some very serious weather conditions. Sometimes they die, right? But that's what they have to do, and they're working hard. You know what I mean? You have to sleep on the boat, have a mattress out there, you have to sleep in a different places, uncomfortable. You know what I mean? And them still do that for a living. But they work hard, but still struggle to make ends meet. So hard work only isn't the key. You have to have some brains behind it, right? And if we're being honest, what our people lacked, and the reason why they weren't able to transition, from being a fisherman into having a fishery business, then so to speak, supplying the hotels, is because a lot of us lack the mentality. I'm not saying all of us, because I know plenty of people in my areas, for example, where them actually do this when I talk about. But the majority, them look on the man and say, say him have a boat, him probably have the drugs. And it might or might not be true. I don't know. But the point I'm trying to make here is that we sometimes get stuck in a certain zone, we feel like we are trapped in a certain category, which might or might not be accurate. It's just a glass ceiling that you hit. It's not really there, but you feel like it's there, and then that's it. So they start out as being a fisherman, and they stay as being a fisherman because they don't see a way where they can take that money and reinvest it and grow it from just being a fisherman to having a boat, to sending people out there, and then take that into having multiple boats where them have them business, and them can actually start from there and supply the hotels, because the hotels need seafood, and send it all across Jamaica. They don't have the vision because they lack the mentality and the understanding of how to get rich. Did you know you can actually think and grow rich? And there's a book, I have it right here, by Napoleon Hill, where it teaches us about the ability to think and grow rich. What does that mean? It means that the process of getting rich or wealthy starts right here. You have to get this right, and once you get this right, then you can look for step 2. But if you are messed up in the head, you're messed up in the head, right? And that's the problem right there. I mean, let's start with the essentials, because to know where you're going, you actually have to have a vision or something, some destination in sight. If you have no destination, then you go walk down the road, and then you go hear somebody calling him over there, and you're gone. You got it all over the place, right? You need a destination in sight. So what are your dreams? What is the ultimate goal for you, right? Identify that. If it's entrepreneurship or some sort of entrepreneurship, then point that out. You need to identify an industry, identify a certain business type. And if you don't have the answer, take the time to learn and identify what you want to do. Once you do, take note. Once you do, write it down. Unless you write it down, it's not real. It's just a dream. Once you write it down, it becomes a goal. And for it to officially become like a goal, transitioning into a business, you have to now write the goal up at top and write the steps to get there below. You know what I mean? What do you need to know? If for example, if you want to become how should I put it? If you want to become a salesman, for example, what do you need to learn? You need to learn. I mean, there's not just one. There's no one book you read to become a good salesperson, right? But I'm just saying, what do you need to learn if you want to go into the car industry, for example? You need to learn whatever make, model of car it is. You need to learn about the cars because you need to be knowledgeable. You need to also learn about sales, how to have good customer service, how to engage people, and things of that nature. But if you wanted to go also into a business where you start to sell clothes, for example, you need to learn and identify who are your target people, right? If you're doing male clothing, what are the trending clothes? Are you looking for trending, or are you looking for something a little bit more classy in terms of something timeless like suits or whatever? Maybe you wanted the shoes, right? Once you identify your business and you identify the niche that you're looking to target, then you can take a little bit of steps. But most importantly, find a mentor, somebody in the industry, right? But let's say it could be you wanting to start a YouTube channel too. It could be you wanting to do an online store, drop shipping or something of the sort. Whatever it is though, whatever it actually is, there's a saying that says, one day or day one. One day I will start the business. One day I'll start a channel. One day I'll start reading self-development books like this. One day I'll do some research on how I can start selling online. But when is one day? Or it could be day one of research and development, chapter 1 of the book, day 1 of writing the business plan, then day 1 turns into day 2 to day 3, and before you know it, you have a full plan, you have a business, whatever, right? But day 1, you can never get to day 10 if you don't do day 1, right? So you have to start where you are, and then you can transition into success, right? But without a start, you ain't never gonna see the middle or the ending, right? Remember this. And we're getting too closer to the end of the video, but remember this: the man on the hill, the person you see in that position, with that business, in that job, career, whatever it is, he did not land on the hill. The man on the hill did not land there, but through blood, sweat and tears, him climbing way up there, right? Learn their stories. If you see somebody doing good financially, whether it's through business, don't assume, where we come from, people assume they might do something illegal in terms of drugs. They might sell themselves, all kind of different madness. But they never actually go assume that, they did their research and them start a business. So, and them might do well because you're doing good business. People don't assume that. People always assume the worst. So my point here is, if you see somebody doing good, don't assume that they might do something wrong or whatever. If you can get close to them, ask them about their business. And if they feel compelled, once they realize that you have good intentions and you just genuinely want to learn from them, they'll tell you what's going on. Because a lot of people actually, contrary to what people believe, they actually would like to help other people as well. This isn't obvious enough for everybody, but don't assume that they're doing something illegal or they might rip people off. That's what poor people do. Because what poor people do is that they take like a moral high ground. If you say, oh, they might do something wrong, but because I'm a good person, I not do what they might do. And it's almost like them confine themselves to being poor. And again, if you watch my previous video, you will also, or maybe not, I don't remember if I said it, but if I didn't, I'll say it now. Poor is not a financial status. Poor is a mentality. When you're poor mentally, not financially. Because I say poor people with a lot of money and still do poor things, right? But it's almost like them confine themselves with being poor, and them say all these things to make themselves comfortable within themselves being poor. And once you do that, it's done for you. It's over. You know what I mean? But instead of assuming things, get curious. As I say, ask them questions. Study the wealthy people in general. They know something that you and I don't. You understand me? And it starts with asking questions. If you can get close to them, ask them to be your mentor, to teach you how to build, teach you the things that your friends and your immediate family can't tell you. They can't because they don't know. You know what I mean? When we go primary school and, you're warned about peer pressure, just flip the script now. You flip the script. Get the right people around you. And even if you're not on their level, you're not making their money, you will be doing much better, than you were before, and the other people who you probably associate yourself with too. The thing about success is that it's contagious, and so is negativity as well. So you have to pick your poison. Both can be intoxicating. So pick your poison. If you say you want to be successful, find successful people, hang around, and learn successful things, and it will rub off on you. You know what I mean? Perfect example. If me I make, and I talk about this in respect to living here in America, if you make $4,000 a month and you go around some people, they want to say, yo, you make a whole heap of money, you know? You know what I mean? You make a whole heap of money, make you feel nice. But then, considering the cost of living now, you're probably going to need to do better when you reach certain time, right? But if you go around somebody who make 10, 15, 20,000 and you're telling me I make 4K, then go look and be like, that's it. And, you know, there's two perspectives to that, because one might think that it's somewhat condescending, but one might use it as motivation to find a job that increases their income. You know what I mean? Because you're like, yo, my friend, I make more than me need. I need to up the thing, you know, because if I go out with them and they want to spend certain money, I can't afford it. And them are going to make me look small. At this point, you might think, say, yo, here I go, no? There's a promotion potential on my job, you know, I need to apply for it, because that might allow me a certain opportunity to make another $4,000 or $5,000 upon what I make, you know. Or you can start a side hustle where you can make another $2,000, $3,000, $4,000. Before you know it, that side hustle can turn into a business. But what I try to say with that too is perspective is everything. You know what I mean? If you want to be successful, you have to get exposed to these things. You have to actually get uncomfortable to become comfortable ultimately. We're going to have a next conversation about that on another episode, right? But in conclusion though, you know, we get to the end of the video. The burden you feel by not being handed a golden spoon is a blessing in disguise. If you open your mind to seeing it, you know, as I said at the beginning, remember the boiling water that hardens an egg makes a potato soft. You know, wherever you start, wherever you come from, use that to fuel your future. Use that as motivation to break glass ceilings, to break generational curses, to make your family proud, to show others that it can be done. You know, but you have to start. You have to learn to be disciplined, and you have to remain consistent. Because without consistency, you'll never finish, right? But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Right now, if you enjoyed the video, let me know by subscribing to the channel. Again, it helps us to grow. Like the video. Let me know below what you think. If there's any particular topic that you want me to talk about, let me know in the comment section. If you have any criticism about what I've said, let me know in the comment section as well, right? And share it with somebody who you think that this video can make an impact on your life, because my ultimate goal is to change as much lives by having these conversations as possible, right? You know, to engage you guys as best as possible, and to, you know, provide content as best as possible, add value to your life, and to just help change your mentality for the better, right? So go ahead and hit the notification bell as well, so you know when we drop more videos like this, and subscribe to the channel. Thank you guys for tuning in. This is episode 2 of the Wildfire Podcast. Thank you and peace. Good night.